Hello, my dear subscribers, my lovely cybernauts. You're welcome to today's episode on Centenary Energia channel. Happy festive season, December 2023. And to those of you who are celebrating Christmas, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Those of you who are waiting on for the new year 2024, I pray that the good Lord will bless us all so that we'll be able to stay alive and enjoy the Christmas then meets 2024. It is on this note that I bring to you the topic for today, which has got to do with types of petroleum contracts. Okay, so petroleum, to start with, remember we said it's a yellowish black substance found underneath the earth's crust. This same petroleum can be collected from different zones, and which is very common in Africa. We have so many African countries which have petroleum resources because, of course, Africa is very lucrative in natural resources. Be that as it is, we should always keep in mind that petroleum, which is hydrocarbon, is not renewable. So as we extract them, they do not replenish themselves. As such, we have to see the different types of contracts which can be entered into by these host countries and their multinational oil companies. Now, talking about petroleum means we're talking about oil companies, oil and gas. So in this particular day, we've chosen to expose the types of contracts which are entered into by operators versus the state. At the international levels, we are made to understand that there are three. We have the risk service contract, we have the production sharing contract, and we have the concession contract. In section 7 of the Petroleum Law of 2019, we are made to know that it is the state alone which has the right to acquire any interest as far as petroleum contracts is concerned. So whether this interest is in a part or full, it is the sole privilege of the state to acquire it. Now, section 14 of this same law of 2019 bar 008 of 25th April 2019 brings us to the different types of petroleum. Of course, not section 14 alone, starting from section 14, because when we go through the law, we notice that risk service contract doesn't fall under section 14, it goes lower down. So we will say, starting from section 14, we are exposed on to the different types of petroleum contracts. So very quickly, here we go. Okay, at the national level in Cameroon, the Petroleum Code provides for 3 different types of contracts. We have it just like at the international level: the risk service contract, concession contract, and the production sharing contract. What is a concession contract? It is actually a contract in which the state attributes a well-defined plot of land where the operator will carry out his exploration and exploitation exercise within a particular period of time, say 25 years. Now, the petroleum activities that will be carried here won't be for free. The company will in return pay to these host countries some form of tax known as royalties. Yes, royalties will be paid to the state by the multinational oil company, and these royalties will be such that the amounts which will be levied on the multinational company will be clearly stated out in the contract which they entered into with the state. Now, we have to know that a second condition given to this concession contract is that the multinational company must carry out this particular exercise sustainably. It means that the multinational company must bear in mind that the Cameroonian people are going to be needing these resources even for future generations, so they have a controlled quantity of these resources which they are permitted to exploit. Now we get into the second type of contract, which is a production sharing contract. Production sharing contract is actually a convention where the host country solicits services of a petroleum company. Now the host country needs to exploit petroleum but lacks expertise. For this reason, it solicits a multinational company to come and rescue it. This multinational company will say, okay, I'm coming, but what do I do? Tell me exactly how you want it. Then they will sit together and agree on how these activities will take place. We call it production sharing because the production realized by the operator is shared with the host country. This means that the operator solely carries out production at his own expenses. Then at the very end of his production activities, the proceeds from the production are shared with the host country. This brings us to two terminologies that will help us understand production sharing contracts perfectly. They are cost oil and profit oil. Now, when we talk of cost oil, we are referring to production for reimbursement. We are actually referring to the amount that was incurred by this multinational company in order to carry out production, and it is settled from part of the final production of the petroleum. This means that even if this production company or multinational were to invest in terms of capital, it's not the country's business. However, at the tail end of that production activity, it will be paid back in terms of the production of petroleum. So a certain quantity of the petroleum is given to them to compensate for how much money they had pumped in for the oil to be produced in the first place. So after this cost oil has been extracted from the general production, that's the amount that was invested to get the production of this petroleum, after it has been deducted from the general petroleum produced, there is an amount that will be left, and it is this amount that is called profit oil. Now the profit oil is now shared between the host country and the multinational oil company or the operator that took charge of these petroleum activities. This brings us to the end of the production sharing contract. Now we have the very last one, which is the risk service contract. Risk service contract is a little bit like the production sharing contract. The very little bit of it is that in risk service contract, the operator finances the project himself as well. That's the only similarity. However, the risk service contract also involves conferring a specific area for exclusive hydrocarbon exploration or exploitation. Now, this specific area that is confided or that is conferred to this oil operator, now we have to know that the country will ensure that this operator is an expert, one, and that being an expert, he carries out the job of exploration or exploitation at his own expense. That's why it's called risk service, because he is bearing all the weight of the operation is carrying out. Of course, you say you're an expert, so you bear the risk on your own, and then at the end of the activity or the operation, he will be reimbursed in terms of cash, only in terms of cash, not in terms of the production of petroleum. So there's no amount of the petroleum that will be given to him in compensation for the activity he carried out. He will be reimbursed only in terms of cash. So those are the different types of petroleum contracts in Cameroon according to our petroleum code. So hoping that you had a very, very wonderful understanding of what our different petroleum contracts look like. I hope that you will be very, very, very instrumental in any institution that calls you to plead their cause as far as this is concerned. Have a wonderful Christmas and hope to see you in my next episode when I'll be addressing local content. Thank you. Bye.